So lately I was noticing that there was this desire for certain things, like this feeling of and thought pattern of I don't have, right? So this feeling of lack. And it was like, oh, nothing ever works out. It was like this old story that started to show up, and I'm not even exactly sure what triggered it or brought it on, but it's so easy to get caught into that desire of like in constant wanting or longing for things, and feeling like I'm not quite there, if I only had this or that. And what happened was that I noticed that I was forgetting so much of what had happened already in the last few months. And so entering that state of longing can sometimes be like a habit, right? And like, I don't know why, but somehow we are so easily conditioned to feel like we're lacking something, and it's almost like the world runs on it, like as if this constant need. And it can certainly appear in consumerism, right? That's what a lot of advertising is about, to create desires of things that we suddenly are supposed to want or need. And so it can very much be in the psyche, right? To be around us, this feeling I'm not enough. And that creates the desire to have things, to have certain experiences, which lends itself to the state of longing, the state of wanting, instead of the state of being whole and the state of having. But these states you can actually experience no matter what. It's more of a choice than we may remember. And so I had to kind of remember suddenly that all these things had actually been created, had shown up, but they felt so neutral. They felt so light, like so easy. And that's like the joke of it all, is because we always want things to come easily to us, yet when they do, it's really easy to deny that they happened, or deny that our desires are being met. And so when we have the opposite, we have a sensation of longing, of wanting, there's a heavier feeling to it. There's a density to it. And, longing can feel wistful. It can feel sad. It can feel like a sense of disappointment. These, these are heavier energies. And that's why I think sometimes we get addicted to having them, because somehow it's like if I long for something, if I really long, it's like I'm connecting with it, and I feel it because of that density of longing, but I don't have it. So the sensation of longing is creating a separation. I'm here and the thing is over there somewhere, and I don't have it. And that's the feeling of longing and wanting to like pull it to us, to magnetize it towards us, to pull it through emotion. But the emotion itself is one that is heavy. And that makes us think incorrectly that because it's heavy, that we can feel it, that it's real, that we are actually somehow touching it. Whereas actually having things can feel really neutral, right? So let's just think, like, say you have a car. You don't walk around thinking, oh, I really want my car every day. You just have it, right? And like, let's assume right now that you're generally, you're happy with it. You have no longing for the next one or to change it right now. So that's just going to feel light. It's going to feel neutral. It's going to feel very normal, right? You might even have thoughts like, well, everybody has a car, right? Even though that's not true. But you may assume that everyone does because it just feels so natural to you, right? Same as, if your business is just flowing, but you have if you have a bigger dream and you're longing for that business with those customers or those clients or certain products that you're selling, and you're just imagining it, but again, you're creating this kind of heavier sensation, like it's out there and you're over here, and you're just prolonging this experience of separation. But let's flip that. When we do have the clients and the customers and everything's flowing, right? Often our attention is not on making the business work because it's already working. Instead, we may be stressed or overworking or have other things that our mind is on. But the idea of our business running just feels neutral. Like, well, isn't it natural? Well, why would I run a business if it wasn't profitable? But anybody who has gone through a period where they didn't make profit knows the value of that. So it's a bizarre thing, but I think it's the actual density of the negative that makes us repeat that as if that's going to somehow bring that thing to us. So what are you going to do with that longing? First of all, catch yourself. It's not to say that I don't think there's personally anything wrong with having these kind of feelings once in a while. It's not a big thing unless you're dragging it on and on and on, right? So we can flip it if we're noticing we're doing it to a point that's actually unhealthy or basically untrue, and imagine having the thing. Because a having is just going to suddenly calm your nervous system. It's going to shift your attention, and it's going to get you much closer, have you much closer to the having of the thing, right? When you think of it as normal, when you think of it as neutral. So again, let's go to the car example. If you are at that place where it's like, yes, it's time, either it's time for a new car or you simply desire it, right? This is something that would just feel so happy, right? It feels really natural. You can imagine it. And right now just feels like the brilliant time to have that. We begin feeling the having of it. Feel having right now, right? So let's take the moment in this video to think of something that you would like in your life that you don't have right now. Something that you can actually connect with right now, because sometimes we do have deeper desires, but it's hard to kind of pull them up instantly. So just choose something right now that feels easy to think of. And imagine having it. Like, how does that sit inside of you? Like, you already have it. You don't have to do anything. You have it. Everything's safe. Everything's good. I don't know about you, but for me, that just feels like calm. It feels quiet. I don't have to do anything. It's there. And so, of course, I know, in my visible reality, it might not be in my hands, right? It may not be wherever it's supposed to be. But if I play with my imagination in the state of having, then as I take steps in my life to actually have it physically, I will come from a place of greater peace and neutrality, which will support me by giving me ideas and steps that will also carry that vibration, versus the vibration of longing and not having and lacking and needing and wanting. Because right now, we can do that right now. Practice, bring that thing to your attention again and imagine that you're longing for it. Right? You don't have it. So you're just like, oh God, I wish I had that, right? You're praying for it, you're doing whatever, you're wishing for it, you're trying to manifest it. It's a lot of effort, right? A lot of energy that's being expended. But it actually pushes things away and puts us in more of a desperate situation. And so that if there is a step to take, or we are taking like 50 steps towards it, those steps are also filled with effort and stress and the energy of wanting and not having, right? So we keep delaying it. Now, again, flip it back to the having and notice the change. See if you can tune in as clearly as possible to actually having what it is that you've been imagining or calling in or wanting. And if I have it, okay, so how does that feel? as I said, for me, it just feels quiet suddenly. Everything seems to just settle down. And now, in my own mind, like I'm picturing something. I'm going to take, like, for example, there's a meeting I have tomorrow in relation to this. So, right now, if I enter that meeting with a state of having, I mean, I don't know what the person's going to say, how it's going to go, but I can enter it with a state of having. And that state of having puts me in a strong position, whatever happens, because I am saying I am having this. Whether it comes in through this person, I don't know. Whether it comes in this way that I've already been working on, I don't know. But that's not the big important thing. The important thing is that I get to have what it is that I am choosing. And so I can enter that meeting very differently than I would if I was in the longing or the wanting state. And the person will naturally respond really differently to me as well. And sometimes we go through this over and over again until we're actually truly neutral. Because we can fool ourselves, right? We can fool ourselves and say we're neutral, and then we enter the experience and we get a no, for example, or a not now, and then we go back into the lacking instead of staying with, no, I'm having this, but it may not come in the way that I thought it was going to come. And you're going to find that circumstances begin to shift in your favor. And these are the things that I began to notice when, in the last few days after I had gone through that sudden mental loop of, oh, I don't have this, I want this, like I'd created this long list suddenly of all these things that I wanted and that I didn't have. And all the while forgetting the things that showed up in the last few months that I had no reason to expect would show up. Or things coming in a way that I didn't expect them to come. And because they feel so light, because they feel so neutral, because it feels so easy having them, it's like it was easy to forget. And so sometimes in those moments, I will sit down and I will write that list of the things that I have that came and in the ways that came, just to delight myself, honestly, just to return myself to those vibrations that are in alignment with having. Because the truth is, a lot of great things have happened for me this year. Certain things did not happen yet or in the ways that I expected, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong, does it? Right? While other good things are coming in. So it's like getting much more balanced about things, getting much more neutral, and then moving into the having state, which is a state of wholeness. And in wholeness, we show up in the world very differently than when we are fragmented or feel we are lacking. And this is a choice we can make. We can literally practice just sitting and experiencing the sensations of having for a few minutes, for 20 minutes, whatever you like, every day. And watch how you begin to shift from the inside out and begin noticing how the outside world will also begin to respond. Sometimes it doesn't happen immediately. That's not the point. The point is you stick with it. You stay true to it, right? I've had dreams that I wrote down and literally forgot about for sometimes months. In one case, it was a few years, but it wasn't even something I was working towards. I just it was one of those kind of like fantasy desires, like, oh, wouldn't that be great if this happened? And I wrote it down and I forgot about it. And then somehow a few years later, like everything conspired to bring that to me. And the other one I'm thinking about was also a few months where, again, I just didn't do anything, but suddenly it showed up in my world. And in both those cases, I was able to be detached from that. So that which means that I was already in a state of wholeness. I didn't need these things. I wasn't in the state of needing them. Yes, they were. One was important and something that was something in a way that had to happen at some point. But it just didn't have to happen at that time. It was my benefit that it happened early. And yet, because I was in that state of both wholeness and, oh, like, wouldn't it be great if I had that? And like, when I entered that, I was actually genuinely feeling that happiness. So that meant that I was in that moment actually experiencing the having of it. And because I was experiencing the having of it, if you've watched, for example, like Abraham Hicks is, I think, says this very common. Like sometimes you literally have to have a few moments of feeling the true state of having something that you literally find it showing up in your reality very quickly. So it's not that we have to sit and we have to meditate for, 100 hours. Now, you might meditate for many reasons. And that can, my experience of that is that it can be really healthy and helpful, especially in the way of being able to focus, because it supports our focus, it supports that calmness, it supports moving into neutrality, which naturally brings a state of wholeness. And then, yes, we can manifest. So we don't have to do that all the time. And we can literally manifest or create things in an instant. We always are. But in terms of what we actually desire, especially things that we may not think that are possible in the short term, or maybe are not possible for us because of the way, we were raised, or the way we've, the way what we're educated in, or the experience we have, all the conditions that we tend to put on things that we desire, but for some reason don't think we can have, right? These are all thoughts, and we can change the thoughts. So play with that this coming week and see what changes, whether it's inside you or outside you, from moving from the state of longing for it to, I already have this. I have this within. I mean, if you're one of those people who goes really into the mind and starts arguing, it's going, I'm having this within. I'm giving it to myself in my imagination. I'm allowing myself to feel the joy I would feel by having it, or the relief I would feel, right? Without going into thought. And if it's bringing up a lot of thought, maybe it's time to just let that one go for now and focus on something else that actually feels easy. And when it can feel neutral and can feel easy, and you can allow yourself to have, it also means, again, like the nervous system is relaxed and having it. It's not going to react. It's not going to move into fear. It's like imagine somebody who gets that beautiful car that they want, and then they're suddenly afraid it's going to get a scratch or something's going to happen to it, right? So that nervous system wasn't actually fully in the state of having it, and so that's why sometimes we can gain something and then we lose it, or something happens to it, is because we can move in and out of that state even after having. So when you practice having first, and it feels really complete, feels really natural in your system, then when you actually get it, it might feel like nothing, right? I mean, I've experienced this, I've heard other people experience this, even like having some like hundreds of thousands of dollars, or in some case millions, come into your life, and it just feels suddenly normal, when at one point it just felt like, oh my gosh, I would do anything for it. It can actually feel so normal that you don't even think about it anymore. Like it's just like, again, that's your new normal. So it's very deceptive that we can forget major wins that we've had because they feel light, because they don't have the hot, heavy density of lacking, of longing, and of wanting. And that's a clue to when we're closer to something. So try it out, and I'd love to hear any realizations and results that you experience. And if you have a question about it, please put it down below. And I will see you next time.